And having just gone through a bunch of spaghetti westerns, I actually kind of felt like this was almost like a British spaghetti western. Just because in the middle of the film, for example, there's scenes where like the sort of like hero character is like riding on his horse through like these gorgeous landscapes, and it almost sounded like it had like an Ennio Morricone score to it for a second.
Yeah,
and
there are moments for sure.
And what's interesting is that
triumphant and
but it feels like there's two different movies happening here intentionally. There's the Vincent Price movie, which is a completely sadistic, really for 1968, really gory horror film.
Yeah.
And then there is...
Because it shows, like, all-out torture. You know, like torture scenes.
And lots of bloody stabbing.
And you see them enjoying it, too. Like, the people doing the torturing.
Yeah, I would say that Vincent Price, one thing that's creepy about him is kind of how dispassionate he is.
Yeah.
He just kind of looks on,
but
everyone else is very into it.
What's weird about his character, too, and it creeps you out more, is, like, he has his partner, Stern, who's just clearly, like, a psychopath who likes to torture people, and he's found... a way to do it, so he has an outlet and he's going to take advantage of it. Whereas it feels like Hopkins has this thing where I don't know if he believes in what he is doing or if he's just sadistic. And I feel like it might be a hint of both, but that's where the fear for me comes from him, is I can't get a read on him. I'm like, do you believe in what you're doing, or do you just go to town because you're also a sadistic, crazy person, you know? And I know that he is a sadistic, crazy person, but what is he feeling? That's what I don't get, and I can never get a read on him in that regard, and that freaks me out. I think it's pretty horrific.
I think they honestly intentionally withhold that from you, the same way that they don't kind of give you a context for how they became this way. I think they just want to show you that this is a sort of like a power trip, like it is sort of like corruption writ large, and also like people sort of like using other people as a stepping ladder, basically.
He even has that line, I guess, later on where he says that he's like, they're calling me general now. Like, I can actually have an official position of power.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely something he set out to get.
Yeah, and they're totally, like, all self-conscious about it, too. Like, everyone knows exactly what they're doing. There's one really scary moment in this when they are torturing the priest, where they are like stabbing him, looking for the devil's mark, and then they are exhausting him by running him around and trying to get him to confess, because some local villagers just don't like him and have accused him of Satan worship.
And that's all it takes, apparently.
They've accused him of Satan worship. The priest, the local minister,
with no physical evidence at all.
Yeah.
It's not like they saw him do anything. It's just you're getting word of mouth.
Yeah,
that guy must be the devil. Let's stick him with some knives and see if he bleeds.
And what's amazing is that what they do, their method is, and I love that they call it, did you use the prescribed methods is a word that they say. Or there's a lot of also, we're doing God's work.
We have to do this professionally, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
There are steps to take.
Again, it feels like they just, the way that they sort of have come up with like a systemic construction, the way that they've sort of like made it like a machine.
How the fuck they came up with these ideas, right? Because obviously it's bullshit. So, like, who was the initial guy that went, well, you got to stab him in the back 10 times, and if he doesn't bleed, he's a witch?
Yep.
Like, who was that guy?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's one later where they're like, oh, we're going to brand you with a cross, and if you scream or you faint, that's Satan.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's convenient.
That works. Or even, like, since we're just talking about these just outright stupid methods of finding out if people are witches, the water one, where he's like, if he drowns, he wasn't a witch. Like, and you're like, kind of defeats the purpose, but okay, fair enough.
Yep. And there's a great line that they have, though, where they go, has he confessed yet? He goes, no. Well, then stop this. And he's like, but he hasn't confessed yet.
And it's only been an hour. I remember that too. Yeah. Where they're like torturing one of them. They're like, has he confessed? He's like, well, give me some time. It's only been an hour.
Yeah.
An hour of torturing them.
Yep. So they just torture them until they confess, so that they can execute them because they confessed. To the crimes that there is no other evidence
they've been forced to say that they were a part of.
Yeah, exactly. And so the one movie anyway that I was mentioning when I said there was two movies, that is this one movie, this like really torturous, sadistic like movie of a lawyer who is appointed by Parliament, having a just like insane power trip and using hysteria over witches and sort of religious fanaticism to murder people who are inconvenient to him and that help him, you know, in his ladder climbing. But the other movie, and I think intentionally so, is a bit of a silly kind of cliche sort of like young lovers melodrama a little bit, where like this guy is
between
like
Richard and the niece.
kind of goofy and kind of handsome and kind of like just like this kind of like normal soldier guy. Like you feel like when I was watching scenes with him,
you can tell he's just trying his best.
when I was watching scenes with him, I felt like he was kind of like the British version of what would just kind of be like the not the lone gunslinger cowboy, like the kind of like dorky cowboy kind of deal. He's just like a soldier and he has this girl at home that he wants to marry. Yeah, exactly. And the girl tries to use her body and sex.